Hey guys, it's Bellamy here from Midnight Suns, and I just got back from the grand premiere of Madam Web here in Singapore on Valentine's Day. And yeah, this is my review of the movie. So, from the studio and the same script writers that brought you Morbius comes the long-awaited and highly anticipated sequel to Morbius, Madam Web. This movie is set in the Sony Cinematic Spider-Verse, and it is a movie that is clearly targeted at Spider-Man fans, and there are a lot of Spider-Man references in this movie, although maybe not as much as I would have liked. So a few weeks ago, there was this report going around that stated that Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man was actually supposed to be in this movie, but they decided to cut the whole Spider-Man subplot out of the film apparently. And after watching this movie, I really wonder why they decided to do that, because I think having Spider-Man in this movie would have given people so much more reason to watch the movie. Like, even if it was just a post-credit scene or something to reveal that this was set in the same Andrew Garfield or Tom Holland Spider-Man universe, I think that would have added so much to the movie. But anyway, that's just a very small nitpick, and now let's talk about the movie Madam Web itself. So I think the best way to describe this movie is if the horror movie series Final Destination was transformed into a superhero movie, it would be Madam Web. This movie is really a horror slasher movie with the main character Madam Web, Cassandra Webb. She just sees visions of the future constantly, of people dying, of people close to her dying, and yeah, she's trying to prevent it. And so the whole movie is filled with these visions of the future and constant time jumping, but with the addition of superheroes. And it is really a campy movie, and if you love campy movies, I think you might really enjoy this. I personally actually really enjoy campy horror movies, and so I must admit I enjoyed this movie a lot more than I probably should have. So if you're somebody like me who really enjoyed Morbius with all the fun campy moments and memes from that movie, then I think you're really gonna enjoy Madam Web. And the year has only just begun, but I can't imagine any other movie coming out this year that will be more hilariously meme-worthy than this movie. This is legitimately one of the funniest superhero movies I've ever seen, and a lot of that humor is unintentional, but there's also some really good intentional humor in the movie. There were so many lines in the movie that really had the audience laughing out loud during the screening. And it's not just for a small section of the movie, from like the start to end, throughout the entire movie, there are some really funny lines in the movie. And I'm not gonna spoil anything, but there's literally a version of the iconic Spider-Man line, "With great power comes great responsibility." And yeah, this movie has a version of that. And I'm telling you guys, when that moment, that line was said in this movie, that was really the moment that elicited the most laughs in the whole theater. And the teenage girl angst between the three teenage spider women and Madam Web, yeah, that was absolutely hilarious as well. It really made me feel like I was watching like a 2000s teenage drama movie like Mean Girls or something. And the main villain in this movie, Ezekiel Sims, it feels like he has all his lines dubbed throughout the movie. And there's actually some very unintentionally hilarious scenes where his lip syncing is completely off, and that really made people laugh as well. Like, some of the dubbing was really bad. But I will say, I feel like all the actors in this movie really tried their best, and they all put on pretty good performances regardless of whether or not you think the script itself is bad or not. I found the characters to all be pretty likable overall. Even some characters that were pretty irritating at the start, by the end of the movie I actually really liked them. And even though I know many of these characters are probably going to be internet memes in the future, I do genuinely hope that they are still given a chance to appear in more serious Sony Spider-Verse projects that are hopefully more critically acclaimed next time. And to speak a little more about the story in this movie, it really is a campy horror slasher comedy film from start to end. The ending of the film especially, the climax, the final battle, was really extremely cheesy. But you know what? I really love that the movie fully 100% embraces its cheesiness and campiness, and it really doesn't try to pretend to be some form of contemplative high art or anything like that. It knows that it is a cheesy campy movie, and it embraces that cheesy campiness throughout the entire movie, and so I really enjoyed it. Like, I'm telling you guys, I had a smile on my face for like 80 to 90% of this movie when I was watching it, and I came out of the premiere really happy watching this movie. I might even say this is probably the best Valentine's Day movie I've ever watched. And I also genuinely really like the music choices in this film, because it takes place in the early 2000s, the story of the film, so you get some really absolute hits from that time period. I mean, there's even a great Britney Spears dance action sequence that was hilarious, and at the end of the movie, leading into the end credits, they even played one of my favorite Cranberry songs. And so I actually stayed in the theater during the end credits just to listen to it. And there aren't any end credit scenes for those of you wondering, but I think it's worth staying just for the music. And alright, now let me give my final rating for this movie. But before I do, I just want to say that I cannot rate this movie the same way I usually rate every other movie that I have on this channel, because this is one of those movies that I know if you try to analyze as a film critic, you'll probably think that this movie is awful, but for me, I am somebody who really enjoys cheesy, campy movies like Morbius and The Room, and so I really enjoyed this movie as well. And because I found this movie to be so entertaining, for my final score, I'm giving this movie 11 more billions out of 10. I don't care if people think that this movie is objectively bad, because I absolutely enjoyed it, and I went to the cinema to have fun, and that is exactly what I got. I think it was way more hilarious than Morbius, and I have no doubt in my mind that this movie is going to be memed on and memed about for many years to come. And I am also very certain that this movie will have a huge cult following like Morbius as time goes on. This is a movie that I will gladly rewatch over and over again in the future, and yeah, I really liked it. And that's all for this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you haven't already subscribed, please do consider subscribing. I am so close to 1000 subs, and it will really mean the world to me to reach that milestone. Anyway, thanks again for watching, everybody. Happy Lunar New Year, and as always, stay gold. Bye guys.